Good morning to all our listeners out there. I'm Tally D, bringing you up-to-date pop culture and media news, right here at KPM 52.1. To continue with this week's theme of stereotypes in media, we are going to talk about male portrayals in media. This morning, we're going to speak to three guests who are all well educated in media and pop culture. We're starting it off with Jimmy Struthers, a professor at the University of Toronto. How are you doing today, Jimmy?
Hello, Tally. I'm doing great.
So tell me, Jimmy, what are the main types of male portrayals in modern media?
Well, Tally, there are many different stereotypical males in media, but they usually fit under two fairly broad categories. First of these two categories is the masculine, good-looking, fit man. The second is the goofy, lazy, unintelligent slob.
Interesting. Some people would argue stereotypes of men in media are not a big deal, and we should be worried more about the female counterparts. What's your opinion on this?
Well, that's a good question, Tally. I agree. We need to focus on women portrayals in media. But to try and sweep male stereotypes under the rug is completely wrong. Young boys are in fact under a lot of pressure to fit in unrealistic and frankly outdated molds cast by the mainstream media. This is a real issue, yet it gets much less attention than it deserves, because men are often seen as being less affected by things around them. This is very problematic because young men are always being pressured by media, and many turn a blind eye.
Wow, that's fascinating, Mr. Struthers. I love how passionate you are for this. Hopefully, you can open people's minds and show them identifying and challenging male stereotypes in the media is just as important as doing the same with female stereotypes.
I just don't think it's fair. Young men oftentimes do not get the help and support they need when it comes to the way they are affected by media. I'm not trying to make them out as hopeless victims. I just think there needs to be more awareness of the way young men are affected by media. Our media today is training boys to fit into stereotypical molds cast by corporations, and unfortunately, they are following these preconceived notions because they don't know any better.
That is very interesting, Jimmy, and I appreciate your insight on such a controversial matter. I wish you lots of luck in your future, and it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Huh, the pleasure was all mine, Tally. Take care.
Next on our show, we are going to talk to Brady Broseph, who is currently studying new media at Ryerson University. Good morning, Brady, and welcome to our show.
Hi, Tally. Pleasure being here.
Alright, so let's get right to it. I was hoping you could provide our listeners with some more detailed info on the different stereotypical males in media.
Okay, well, there are six main stereotypes of men recognized by most scholars and media analysts. The first of those is the Joker. He falls under the goofy category, and he mainly uses humor in everything he says. He is never serious. Another one is the Jock, who puts emphasis on always being aggressive and having to fight to survive. This is a problematic stereotype, as it tells young impressionable kids that fighting is okay and that always being aggressive is the masculine thing to do. Also, the Big Shot is another important stereotype. The Big Shot is a smooth and likable character that is the epitome of success. This stereotype tells boys and young men that to be a real man, you must possess social skills as well as economic power and success. I can see how the latter two stereotypes can be negative, but can you explain to our listeners how the Joker can give men the wrong message?
Oh, of course. The main issue with the Joker is that everything he says is to be taken as humor and not seriously. This is a problem, as it tells men that being serious and having real emotions is wrong and feminine. Wow, thank you for those enlightening words. Thanks again for being on the show, Brady. It was great having you.
No problem, and I hope we speak again, mate.
Finally on our show, we will talk to someone who has actually been studying and analyzing the portrayals of men in media. Please welcome Bert Rofford. How are you doing today, Bert?
Oh, thank you for having me on the show, Tally. And I am good.
So, Bert, we were hoping you could finish the specific stereotypes of men in media from where Mr. Broseph left off.
Oh, of course, of course.
The next commonly used stereotype is the strong and silent type. This is a man who has few words and mainly proves himself through his bold and decisive actions. An example of this is James Bond, always in control of a situation. The action hero is similar to the strong and silent type, but he is not always silent. The action hero is often angry, extremely aggressive, and often engages in violent behavior. A classic example of this is Bruce Willis in the Die Hard series. Finally, we have a light-hearted, goofy stereotype known as the buffoon. The buffoon is a typical sitcom father who is incapable of raising his children and is unable to solve problems in his home or workplace.
Wow, that's fascinating. Can you tell us more about the buffoon stereotype? What would an example of this be in media today?
The buffoon is a very popular stereotype, actually. Most sitcoms have at least one father character who embodies the buffoon. He usually has problems uh, solving his children's problems, and often has bad judgment and is scorned by the mother. An example of this character is Tim Taylor from Home Improvement. However, this character doesn't necessarily have to be a father. This stereotype is seen in King of Queens. However, Doug is not a father.
Wow, thank you for explaining these different stereotypes. I'm sure our listeners are very grateful. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for being on the show, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me, Tally.
Alright, so that concludes our show. Tune in tomorrow when we talk racial stereotypes in modern media. See you then, and have a good day, folks.